on the Wintershall thing, um, it is quite interesting where that company is coming from because it's a daughter company of BASF, which is well known in the world for chemical chemical products. And yeah, funny story is that they build together with Gazprom most of the network of pipelines through Germany, and they have had contracts with Gazprom for long-term delivery, which supply Germany with yeah, pardon my French, shitloads of cheap energy. So the German economy could go pretty well, and they are, of course, pushing with other possibilities now, still on the side of getting cheap power, and that's why they are probably doing joint ventures.
Well, it all makes you think, doesn't it? I bet you there's people looking into that already.
Yeah, BASF. I mean, it's a really big important company, not only in Germany but international. That's absolutely right. And yeah, I'm not sure how this kind of connection formed and how it is with these joint ventures, but yeah, I'm really interested what the people who are investigating this professional, like yeah, yeah, bureaus of investigations, like from the government, and also like what public journalists will find out all about it.
Actually, there was already a huge discussion on German television about that topic when the war broke out. The German, I think it was second German television. There was a documentary about exactly that issue.
Oh, all right, thank you, Smarty. Yeah, I have to honestly say I'm not really close yeah, monitoring German politics since February, because we we all know what we could have done, and what we have not done, and yeah, try to focus more on the things we can do to Ukraine. But it's really good you point that out. All right, Marcus, do we have anything heard about missiles in Poland? Are there any news?
I don't have any new news about missiles in Poland. I'm hoping it was a one-off. However, I do have some news about the airbase in Crimea. That there was a video going around yesterday of a very big fire, and I looked at that video and I thought, I've seen that video before, and I had. So yeah, that was an old video, and what actually appears to have happened in that area, and I can't pronounce it, so if you know what it's called, it begins with a D, feel free.
Oh, right. Yeah, I just have to see the word in front of me so I can read it out. But it's
Fair enough. But anyway,
fair enough. I
that's
mean, I had 5 years of Russian in school, because I'm from East Germany, and I was in school like yeah, I think I started 1996, and when I started in the gymnasium, where I had to take a second foreign language, we only had yeah, we had like four groups, and only two groups could take French, and the other one had to take Russian, because we in East Germany obviously had enough Russian teachers left over. So yeah, it was kind what was, let's say, it was not my favorite language, but I'm really happy I've at least learned the Cyrillic yeah, system and letters, and I can read yeah, also Ukrainian letters. This is really helpful. And sometimes I also know how to pronounce it.
well, I don't know how to pronounce most of them, so I'm just going to say that airbase in Crimea that everyone was referring to last night. I did point this out quite late last night, but I'll say it again now, that as far as we can tell, there wasn't actually a missile strike there. There was explosions. There was something on fire. There was suggestions that there were drones. There was suggestions that they were at least attempting to shoot the drones down, and a report that they did shoot the drones down, but that doesn't entirely confirm why there was fire. So maybe one or two of those drones actually made their way to the right places, or maybe they were shot down and they blew up as they shot down. Don't know. But the target appears to have been an electrical switching station that is related to the railways. So certainly it's a juicy target. It's something they want to take out, but it wasn't actually the airbase itself. It was something very close to the airbase.
All right. I will try my luck. My luck. I will try my luck. And I would say it's pronounced Jankoy. But this is just me trying. All right. Right along to Dniprovka. I would say it's Dniprovka. Butchering Ukrainian names again. I'm so sorry, dear Ukrainians, but you know I really like and love you all, and yeah, don't be mad about me. I'm trying and learning. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to check the news, and if we have something interesting to discuss, and yeah, if anyone has a question, please request the microphone button and come up, and we can discuss a little bit.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to just remind everybody, because I would imagine that we have a new round of listeners by now, as people have woken up or tuned in, that we have, I'm just looking up in the nest. Yes, it was shared by Doman earlier on today. So it's 3rd in the nest, a tweet by Fellaine, and it's to specifically support the Rapid Response Brigade. She did come and talk to us about this a couple of days ago, and she was able to reach the initial goal, the initial fundraising goal, in approximately 24 hours. And she came up earlier to tell us how amazing that was. And it is fantastic. Congratulations to everybody who listened and everybody who donated, because, you know, even a retweet helps. It helps get it to the eyes of people who do have the funds to help. So thank you very much for that, everybody. She's still, of course, collecting for that group. Now that she's been able to collect the bare essentials for them, and now she knows that that's funded, she wants to assist them in getting a little bit of additional equipment. So that is still on. And if you want to donate to MriyaRaid or through MriyaRaid for that group, you just need to put the note RRB, so Romeo Bravo. And that will make sure that the funds go directly to that group. And I think she was just overwhelmed. She doesn't like asking for assistance, and she was absolutely astounded at the response that she got. And that's what we can do in a space like this. We can bring people together and direct people to the place where their money is going to go directly to the people that need it, where we know for a fact that those guys are going to receive the stuff that they need because Fellaine works with them. So, you know, these are the sorts of connections we have, and that's why we know that everything that goes to MriyaRaid always reaches its destination as it should. and I've rambled on for a bit now. So, Bernardo, unfortunately, I cannot see speaker requests, so I don't know if you've had any. I'm going to take those in now.
Take this as a no. I can't see any speaker requests. So I would say, do you want drop down, or should I drop down, or should our requester drop down and try to request again? I'm not really sure.
Well, my issue is my phone, so that's not going to get any better. And you just refreshed a minute ago, so maybe nobody wants to talk to us. Maybe that's it. In the meantime, I'm just going to go and check if I've had any DMs.
Yeah, please check the DMs. I see I'm glitching, so I will restart and I will be right back again, Marcus. Yeah?
Of course. There is something that I can tell you about, which is the NAFO are funding a nautical drone. That's the one, a nautical drone. And they have had a change of heart with the original name, so it has now had its name altered. If you want to go and have a look at the original post about that on the NAFO fella's main account, and you'll be able to see it's still very humorous, but it's not quite so naughty. Sarah, welcome to the space. How are you?
Hi. So Yehuda asked me a couple of days ago if I wanted to jump in and ever answer any questions about my service here, and I received a couple of DMs tonight. And when everyone went quiet, I thought I had about 20 minutes that I would go ahead and let you guys know if you have any questions for me as a member of the ZSU, or just anything about my 9 months in Ukraine. I know Yehuda was interested in possibly having me go a little bit more in depth sometime later in the week, but for now, I'm happy to fill in some of the quiet time.
Well, thank you so much for coming to speak to us, Sarah. And I've been seeing that you've been doing lots of good work. Is there anything in particular that you're doing at the moment that you can tell us about?
So in the moment where I would say we're between locations, preparing to go to what I would refer to sometimes as the front. And we're at a front-facing position, but we're not at the front just yet. And that will be coming sometime in the near future. None of us really know the date, so luckily I can't be shaken down for OPSEC on that, because we were told when we got here, we're leaving when we leave. And so bags are prepared and we will head out, and we don't even know, because there's so many multiple directions that we could go. We don't even know as soldiers where we're going, just that we will be deployed to one of the more hot areas. So until we go there, we're just keeping our skills sharp, running simulations, for our missions.
Fantastic. So training, and training.
Smart. Yeah, basically.
Smarty, you look like you've got your hand up there, so go ahead.
I have a military question. I was wondering, since there is first snow, as I heard, maybe that's good if there is a confirmation on that. How are things going with the uniforms? Because if I think of snow and the green uniforms, it's quite obvious that you run around with a target button above your head. So, how's it going? Are there uniforms going to be changed, or what's the story about that?
No, our uniforms won't be changed. I think it's because of the way this war is being fought, where it's such an artillery battle and the drone battle, and those of us who are on the ground are oftentimes responding to situations in a reactive way, especially with some of the units I'm with, and so we're just happy to have warm clothing. I know a lot of other folks just unfortunately do not, and so our unit we're lacking some supplies, but our unit, when it comes to clothes, have full winter, but in the normal camouflage colors you've come to expect from the armed forces of Ukraine. We won't be changing anything, but we do have insulated pants. We have our boots. We're well prepared to have a prolonged stay in the outdoors, despite the cold and snow that will come.
Because this morning with Doman, we've just discussed the situation with the conscripts, and that they are probably running around with T-shirts, and that they are probably fighting it with alcohol, which is very counterproductive, as we all know, if you are in the cold. And so I was just wondering if it looks like the Hollywood white gear, but it's probably not like that.
I'd imagine some military battles may have that, but this is not one of those. And the bigger thing for us is just staying warm in general. If a drone comes over top of us, the white wouldn't matter if we've really screwed up and shown our position, because it's based off heat, as most listeners know. If we are engaged in a fight in somewhat close quarters, which is possible, then we're going to be exposed anyway. I can't speak for recon units. I can't speak for soft units, meaning special operation forces. But I can say for ours, there won't be any changing, but we are well prepared. President Zelensky was really on top of this, and our entire battalion is well prepared for the winter, because we do expect to spend prolonged periods of time outside. Well, we're basically an outside unit right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to change much over the next 2 to 3 months.
Thanks very much. Nick, go ahead.
I think also, unless Ukraine is radically different from other bits of Europe, at lower altitudes in Europe, it really doesn't snow that much. It's not like you wake up one morning and there's been 1.5 meters of snow overnight. So if you're moving through a forest and trying not to be seen, you're basically, your regular camouflage is what's going to stop you standing out against the trees, and white certainly isn't. So I think we have this idea in our heads of, it's someone mentioned Hollywood. It's here are the Arctic troops, like in Where Eagles Dare, and they're landing in 3 feet of snow. Donbass, I understand it's fairly low. It's 100 kilometers from the Black Sea. It's going to get cold, but I'm not certain just how many tens and 20 and 30 centimeter snowfalls you're going to get. So I think the picture we have in our heads, maybe, or picture some people have in their heads of what winter looks like, maybe a bit exaggerated in terms of the sheer amount of snow that falls. I think it's, again, without knowing the local conditions, but thinking of various places that I've lived in and around Europe, a lot of the time it's what a friend of mine calls polite snow, which I think is a wonderful expression. You come down in the morning and there's 1.5 centimeters of snow on the ground, and we say it snowed politely. You get all the benefits of a white lawn to look at, without it actually kind of stopping you from getting to work, stopping traffic or anything. And so I don't know how much they get in Ukraine, but I doubt if it's going to be that kind of, huge, deposits of snow. I just tweeting with a friend in Buffalo, New York this afternoon, and apparently they're expecting 3 feet, 3 of their American feet of snow in the next 24 hours or something. That really doesn't happen very often in Europe, outside perhaps of the Nordic countries. As far and in addition, we're going through a very mild autumn. So I think when the cold comes, I'd be surprised if it actually comes with vast amounts of snow, unless someone who's there says, no, actually Ukraine is famous for its huge snowfalls. But it doesn't strike me as something that's typical for much of Europe.
I'm not sure if I should hope for a mild winter or a cold winter, because with cold winter, we can definitely say, hey, the conscripts will just be frozen popsicles.
Yeah, but the civilians, I am concerned for Ukrainian civilians without power. And when it's -5 outside versus +5, that makes a heck of a difference. So these things, not that we get to choose, but if we had to choose what outside temperature it would be, I think it would be quite a complex choice.
Oh, cheers. Slava Ukraini.
I think you're hot, Mike, somebody. Perfect. Right. then John, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So regarding snow and cold and winter and so on, actually it's it's better to have snow than snow and cold than cold and no snow, because snow is actually insulating. So especially if you have a building and lots of snow on the roof, that will help insulating the place. So snow is not bad. It doesn't make it colder, just whiter and lighter. Coming from Sweden, I that's my experience.
Thanks for that. So, Sarah, when did you actually join the ZSU?
I enlisted, I think, about 5.5 weeks ago.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, a question I've been wanting to ask of people who've joined up, either with or without previous military experiences, is when you sign up as a foreigner, do you go in as the sort of lowest paid private? I guess maybe if you have no previous experience, you do. I'm wondering, someone like James Vasquez, he isn't here now, but with previous military experience, when he turns up and joins the Ukrainian military, does he go in at private second class, or does he get some kind of credit for his previous service? How does that work with ranks?
So there's no separation of privates here. You are either a basic soldier, you have junior sergeant, which is the equivalent of a corporal, and then you move up the NCO ranks from there. The only sort of seniority list would come based on maybe job. So for instance, I was enlisted as the senior company medic, which put me in a position of some sense of command over the other combat medics. But as for pay, everyone's base pay is pretty much the same. And then you have bonuses on top of it. So if you are somebody who's mobilized in Ukraine, or you're a volunteer, Ukrainian or foreign, you're coming in at around $1,000 a month, with exchange rate a little bit less. If you go out to the front lines, you receive significant bonus pay. And then there's obviously higher wages based off of what your rank is. But a lot of people, including those coming in to say, I'm not in the Legion, but even those coming into the Legion are coming in just as soldiers, no matter how much experience you have. And the vast majority of non-commissioned officer positions are held by Ukrainians, even within the Foreign Legion.
Okay, thanks. That's really interesting, and it wasn't obvious to me. So thank you very much.
Of course.
So, oh, go on, Leonard. I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Mockers. And I have a question for Sarah, but first, just a quick reply with regard to the winter uniforms. You may be aware, and possibly everyone has seen the commitment of the Canadian Defense Department about a month ago, roughly, where the Canadian Defense Ministry has committed 500,000 winter uniforms to the Ukraine Army. So presumably that is already on site, and obviously at that number, that's a significant allotment in terms of what would be required by the Ukrainians. And because it's Canadian winter garb, it would be, I would assume that there is a significant amount of white coverage and white garments included as that package. So regardless, it would have been in terms of the coloration or the camouflage status, it would have been pretty much at what had been requested by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. So I don't know at this stage. I'd have to do further inquiries to determine whether there's winter-specific white winter garb or some kind of a mixture of different requirements. But clearly, 500,000 new winter uniforms or clothing being shipped, that would be a significant contribution for the upcoming season. And then a question for Sarah. I recall, Sarah, that it seems to me that the last time you were on, you were fairly significantly engaged in the Kharkiv area. And I just wondered, I have a question in terms of, we've really had very little concrete information coming out of Kharkiv lately. And I'm just wondering if you have any sense of what kind of, like the scale of the destruction firstly, and then secondly, more importantly, what kind of efforts you have seen or you may be aware of in terms of any kind of a reconstruction or rebuilding effort. And we had heard specifically that Kharkiv was very hard hit at the universities, so the educational institutions, the cultural centers, museums and cultural infrastructure, and as well as a number of the religious institutions or infrastructure as well. So significant cultural attack. And I'm just wondering if you have any information in terms of how, if anything, is being done in terms of rebuilding process right now. Thank you.
So for those who don't know my background regarding Kharkiv, prior to enlisting in the military, I spent 7.5 months reporting from Kharkiv Oblast, and I didn't leave Kharkiv Oblast for more than maybe 10 days total over the course of 7 months, and that included my first trip to Kyiv for the enlistment. And so after my 7.5 months there, I got a very strong sense of what was going on, as one of the reasons I decided to enlist was the war became personal for me when you're getting attacked every day, relentlessly, with no stop. And all of a sudden, something happens and you say, you have to go from being maybe an active observer to an active participant. And so I was with the governor in July. 21 of our, I have personally visited Ward, Church of Latter-day Saints, that had been hit. There was a Catholic church that had been hit. A mosque had been hit that I had personally seen. Innumerable numbers of Ukrainian Orthodox churches had been hit. And so everything that you just talked about had taken place. The destruction of Kharkiv, when we look back, and the resilience of the people of Kharkiv, when we look back, is going to be one of the stories of this war, because it truly and it's still, because it's being hit regularly. I still have an apartment there, in fact, so I get my notices as to what's happening. I call it Ukraine's frontline city because of the border situation. It's never going to not be Ukraine's frontline city, because you're within range of a significant amount of rocket strikes. And then if you go just 20 kilometers north, you're within range of K-25s that will strafe the villages. They can, shoot mortars over the borders. They can, Orlan drones come across. Anything you can imagine hits Kharkiv Oblast still. And so the mayor and the governor have done a phenomenal job in cleaning up the city. The city, the entrepreneurs in the city and the local business managers have done a phenomenal job in trying to put some semblance of an economy together, even in the face of this rampant destruction. But to suggest that maybe there's a reconstruction effort already taking place, no. I would say the effort was to clean up the city, stabilize the buildings that had been hit, and then prepare. We were preparing for the winter as far back as July when it came to what was going on in Kharkiv, understanding that evacuations were going to be necessary even prior to the counteroffensive, because the electricity grid was already suffering there due to those Russian attacks.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. And the electricity grid has been something that's been really specifically attacked, and it causes a lot of concern. We have a hand up, a Trimper. Go ahead.
Wow. Hi. Thanks, Monkers. Can y'all hear me all right?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so first time speaking, I figure why not come on and tell Sarah how much we love her and how much we're behind her and how much we love her. And I actually do have a question in addition to my love. I wanted to ask about sleeping items, not necessarily sleeping arrangements, but sleeping bags and keeping warm with the soldiers and with the volunteers. Can you tell me anything about that, Sarah, about what you've seen for the winter? Because I want to know if we really need to supply them with something to snuggle in. Thank you.
Thank you for the beautiful words, and I'm glad that you chose tonight to be a first-time speaker. And I think you have a great question, and happy to sort of answer it from two perspectives. Perspective one is we're a very hardcore unit in the sense that we've been formed to. I came into a brand new unit. The Crimean Tatar unit existed as part of a counteroffensive team back during the Crimean takeover as a volunteer unit in the Busha and Irpin campaign. But the president came to our commander and basically said, I want you to put together a team that's going to be able to prepare and be ready to endure really heavy hardships over the winter. And so we were officially, I guess for lack of a better term, incorporated under the AFU / ZSU in the summer, at which point the Russians immediately labeled us a terrorist organization, one of only two groups, us and the Azov battalion, to receive that label. And understanding that, and the reason I gave you that background, understanding that we have been basically tasked with certain projects, specifically returning Crimea or taking part in the return of Crimea, and we have to, move south to do so. The government has done amazing in giving us the winter gear, including insulated sleeping bags that we need. So for us in our unit, we're lucky, if you consider that. I guess unlucky in a sense that, again, as I mentioned, we're going to be spending a lot of time in very cold, cold situations. And so for us, we don't need anything. I can't speak for other units because the last time I was with another unit, at Zero Line, our trench systems are pretty awesome. And so I don't know what they're going to be doing to prepare for winterization. I do see these things online where they're asking for winter jackets, winter clothes. I guess billions, if when it comes to the fundraising. And we're so grateful for all the donations that people supply the military with, whether it's my battalion, whether it's the previous guest you just had on, who's working so closely with NAFO and the other groups, whether it's MriyaAid, where you guys have been, sending things out for 9 months now. The civilians are in a terrible state across the nation now. Up until October 10th, it was really the East and the North and the South. But now with the power grid situation over the last 5 weeks, people are just, unfortunately, maybe financially they weren't able to be prepared, or they expected that they were in an area that wouldn't be affected. But please keep your ears open when it comes to aid, winter aid especially, for the civilian population. I mean, I would love for all money to go to the military, because the sooner we end this war, the sooner, if we had all the weapons right now, we would be able to end this war, and then rebuilding could start, and et cetera, et cetera. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Civilians desperately need help. And if you could partner with some organization to help supply them with winter gear, sleeping bags, et cetera, please don't forget the civilian population of Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and good luck out there. Stay safe.
That's a very good point. That getting the heating and lighting back up and running is, and it's something that is very important. Daryl, go ahead.
I hope you guys can hear me. I'm on the road here. Sarah, I wanted to. It's been a long time since I've seen you here. I remember way back when I saw you, but I just wanted to say I hope you're staying safe first of all, and I hope that you are doing the job that you set out to do, and you're getting fulfillment of from what you're doing. My question is, you've seen the destruction, and a lot of people don't always realize what that destruction entails to the normal life. Hearing how you've seen churches, you've seen, I guess, museums, and all these different things that really make society what it is. It's the history, the arts, the schools. Do you get a sense of how that is erasing? What the Russians are doing are erasing, not only just trying to kill the people, but actually kill what they are, who they are. They're icons of what society is. Do you really feel that sense?
Daryl, I don't think I've been on the show since April, so I think it's been about 7 months that I last appeared. And thanks for asking such an incredible question. There's a listener in here right now who's also a show host of a different show. His name's Mark Mountain, and all this talk. Hello, Mark, if you're actually listening. And Mark was interviewing me when several rockets exploded live 100 meters from me while the show was on. And I'm bringing this up because when they'll launch rockets at us, they are indiscriminate with where it goes. And so the destruction of what would happen, say, in Kharkiv, I reference it as cultural genocide. So they are going out of their way to erase everything when it comes to trying to destroy Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian history. Entire villages wiped out, museums wiped out. But I want to bring up a very specific set of places that I personally witnessed the attacks on when we were being hit with artillery on a daily basis in Kharkiv. Russia attacked the Holodomor Memorial. They attacked the Polish cemetery, the German Memorial Cemetery. They attacked the memorial to victory against fascism. They attacked the World War II memorial, and they attacked the Chernobyl Museum memorial, where many people from Kharkiv were sent to Chernobyl to fight it because there was a firefighters academy out there. And so those were all attacked directly with artillery shelling. They knew how to aim their artillery, and they went ahead and they tried to erase history. Right before I joined, right before I officially enlisted, I was in Bakhmut, and I was in the center of the city, and then I went east of the city. And actually, I was in Bakhmut when I got a call from the AFU to come to Kyiv and enlist. And so while I'm in Bakhmut, we were under attack, and I'm in a church. The people are cleaning the church, and there's their artillery shells, and there's a couple of mortar rounds that had hit a couple of days before, and they're in there. And I asked them, like, why? You know, what's prompting you to do this? And they said, if we can't keep alive our faith in God, how do we keep alive our faith in country? And it really resonated. These people are not allowing their culture to be erased. They're not allowing their faith to be erased, despite the best efforts of the invaders to do so. And so you're not imagining it, Daryl. It's a great question. It is cultural genocide, but the Ukrainians are aware of it, and they are doing everything they can to make certain that victory not only is in the sense of removing the war criminals from the land, but also maintaining what Ukrainian history was, is, and will be, moving forward.
A secondary question, if you don't mind me asking, when have the people been able to store away things, the different things? I know that there was a synagogue, I believe it was, where the people were able to grab things and give them out to save them. Were you able to see any of that, where the people were trying to save different things that would make it won't save everything, but at least save some of the iconography of the buildings and of their different monuments? Were they able to save any of it, so that when they rebuild, because I know they will rebuild, that they will have something to bring to that, just rather than everything being brand new?
I think we're going to see it in two different ways. The areas, so I arrived in Kharkiv 2 days after the Russians were pushed out, but when we referenced them as being pushed out, they were 2 kilometers or so from the city limits. Kharkiv, the government did an incredible job in making certain that these iconic parts of Ukrainian history were not taken away, were not destroyed unless it was a direct hit. The churches I was in, including a synagogue, the Choral Synagogue in Kharkiv, they did take, and I don't want to talk too much about where things went or what they did, but they did take precautions to make certain that no matter what happened in the future, these items were preserved. However, in the south, as we're liberating, and in Kherson, and as we get into MriyaReport and some of the other areas in the east, everyone understands that we're not just going to see the human tragedies, but we're going to see the cultural tragedies. The Russians are no different than the Taliban when it comes to destroying it. I was the first on, I think the only one still to this day, well, military, but at the time, a reporter to go to Drabitsky Yar, which was the Holocaust memorial in Kharkiv. Everyone knows Babin Yar got hit, Drabitsky Yar was attacked. When you stand out there at Drabitsky Yar and you look around, you understand the Russians aimed at it. No different than when the Taliban would knock down some of the Buddhist statues, the Russians attacked the Holocaust memorial at Drabitsky Yar in Kharkiv. And that's why I've kept it to this day pinned on my profile, because if I knew it early. If they were willing to do that, they were willing to do anything. And so luckily in the east, in the north, we drove them out before they had a chance to really do too much damage when it came to the arts and that sort of historical segment. But in the south, we understand it's a different situation.
All right. I just want to say thank you and stay safe. I appreciate your answers.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you both. And go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you, Mockers. And Daryl just reminded me of my manners. Sorry, I should have asked you, Sarah, how you've been keeping, and stated as well that we certainly hope you stay safe and find a means to stay safe until the end of this thing. And thanks again for your contribution to this space. But I have a further question relating to Kharkiv. And it just strikes me that Kharkiv in many respects could be seen as one of the cultural heartlands, if you will, or at least a significant center of Ukrainian culture. And I'm just wondering if you have an assessment based upon what you've seen there and over the whole course of this invasion, but even more recently, how you would assess the morale, if you will, or the fighting spirit, or the chutzpah, or however you want to call it, of the Ukrainian people, because it seems to me that Kharkiv might be very close to the beating heart of the Ukraine resistance, if you will, or the Ukraine national spirit. And I just wondered if you have any specific observations on that point. And thank you again for your insights.
I couldn't have asked for a better question. If you saw my smile right now, there's no greater secret, and it's becoming less of a secret, that Kharkiv truly is the heartbeat of Ukraine. It's also Ukraine's cultural capital. I filmed 5 episodes of a show called Hello Kharkiv that was filmed under the guidance of private-public partnership, and they asked me to host it. It's never been released for a variety of reasons. First, because liberation took place in the middle of filming, so some information was immediately outdated. Second, because in the midst of preparing to film some more episodes, I ended up enlisting, and those who were sponsoring the program were some of the people who were behind my enlistment. And so maybe they will see the light of day, but the show was called Hello Kharkiv. And I would ask every one of my guests, when are we moving the capital from Kyiv to Kharkiv? Because we're already Ukraine's cultural capital. Isn't it time to make us Ukraine's capital? And of course, you know, as Kharkiv homers, we would all smile about it and laugh, but it's not too far off when it comes to what you stated was the beating heartbeat. The resistance that was shown when was in Kharkiv March 9th. When I arrived in Kharkiv, we didn't know if the Russians were still in the city. I saw burnt tigers, and as I said, I knew that they were within 2 kilometers of the city, and they were there until we drove them out in the middle of May. And then at that point, they still continued to hit us from 15, 20 kilometers away, because they were still in the northern parts of, you know, Kozachy-Lopan and Vovchansk, etc. And so throughout all of that, when I first arrived in Kharkiv, pharmacies, banks, and supermarkets were open, and you had to stand outside to go into any of them. that ended up around the middle of April for the first coffee shops to open up and some mobile phone shops, things of that nature. And then by May 1st, even though we were under attack, it didn't matter. Everything started to open up. And I think that, while it enraged the Russians further, truly allowed the people across Ukraine, whether they were in the illegally occupied territories or in the far west, to understand that Russia would never take Kharkiv. They would never manage to take Kyiv. And what that did psychologically for the entire nation can never be underestimated. And so, yes, Kharkiv is the heartbeat of Ukraine. Kharkiv is the cultural capital of Ukraine. And while it may never happen, a vote for me would be to move the capital of Ukraine to Kharkiv. So thanks for an incredible question.
And thanks for a great answer, Sarah. You take care.
Are you okay for another question, Sarah?
Sure, I have a hard stop in 10 minutes. 9:50, I have a hard stop because we have something going on at 10 and I have to be prepared.
Can you hear me?
I can.
I think I lost you guys.
Can you hear us, George?
Mockers, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
I can't hear you guys. I'm gonna try to cycle back up because I think you guys can't hear me, or I can't hear you.
Yeah, you can't hear us, mate. Welcome back, Bernardo.
Yeah, welcome back to you all. Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for being here. This is really, really important, and I'm always happy to hear your voice.
Should we try again, George?
Yeah, George, let's try again.
Can you guys hear me now? I can hear you, I think, by name, right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear Mockers. That's what I can hear. Okay, I can hear you. All right. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask Sarah, is this going to be your first full winter in Ukraine? Did you get in country after February, or were you there before?
So I arrived in country on March 4th. However, I spent a full winter in Riga, Latvia, and Tallinn, Estonia. So I'm very used to cold weather. I've also spent 3 winters in Schleswig-Holstein in Germany and the Hansestadt Hamburg. So while I've never slept for long periods outdoors, I have been used to extremely cold temperatures in both northern Germany and, of course, the Baltics. So I have a very good sense of what to expect in really inclement weather and sub-zero temperatures.
Okay, Sarah. So I can't hear you, but I had the text option on, so I read everything you've been saying. So hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, just remember, socks. Always keep a extra pair up against your body so they're warm, so that if your feet get wet, you can take them out and switch them out. Socks. That's all I can tell you. Always have at least 2 extra pair with you at all times.
Sounds like a man who knows. Go ahead, Africans, if you've got a quick question.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Sarah, for fighting for Ukraine and fighting for democracy all across the world. And I'm just really concerned about like the elderly and in this cold and everything, hearing the stories from like raise some money for the renegade relief rescue people. I know we're doing that for Lane, but I think we could also do that just to help the elderly and the most vulnerable people in Ukraine right now. Thank you.
I don't know the rule now. I know the rule in April was not to talk about like other organizations, but since you brought them up, I'll say this. The Renegade Relief Runners, Chris Tiller, who's one of the co-founders, I needed an IFAC in April. He drove into Kharkiv under bombing to deliver me an IFAC. Then when I was appointed the representative for the territorial district of Zolochiv regarding their outreach programs, they probably delivered to me at the Zolochiv hospital and then to the mayor's office $20,000 to $30,000 worth of food and medicine when nobody else would come. Zolochiv is located 10 miles from the Russian border, and Chris and Julie and some of the others from Renegade Relief Runners came to me while under attack to deliver meds to the frontline hospital that I was a representative for. And so if you are, and if I can just plug them, and I'm hoping I'm not running afoul of anything, they are a legitimate group. Okay.
No, absolutely.
Great. They're a legitimate group. They're an incredible group, and they do work solely with civilians. And so if you guys are ever looking to help civilians out, contact Chris or 3XR Renegade Relief Runners. And I've been working with them for 7.5 months. They were the first non-Ukrainian. So I arrived on March 4th. I got to Kharkiv March 9th, or Kharkiv Oblast March 9th, Kharkiv on March 10th. From March 10th and through the end of April, I was in a very tight bubble, I guess you would put it. And so I didn't see any other foreigners. Chris Tiller was the first non-Ukrainian, non-Russian that I came across after getting to Kharkiv. And for him to have brought me an IFAC when they were hard to get at the time, I'll never forget it. And to this day, Renegade Relief Runners have been delivering to civilians across the country, and they're a top-notch group. So I'm glad you brought up their name. Civilians are going to need the help. Malker and some of the others have asked about it. The electric, it's going to get worse. We're being told that in the larger cities, civilians are going to be down to maybe 4 hours of, and that is only going to, lessen the more the attacks might happen.
Thank you much for highlighting them, Sarah. I just wanted to let you know that one of the MriyaReport co-hosts is now currently assisting the Renegade Relief Runners, and he's been popping in and giving us information from the ground when he's dashing about taking aid to people who are living in bombed out shells, basically. He's quite moved by it, but he was moved enough to get off his sofa and go and help them. So I just thought I would let you know that yes, we do indeed have a connection, quite a personal one, to the Renegade Relief Runners, and we're more than happy to support them.
That's beautiful to hear. I don't know if I'm going to have time for, like I said, I had a hard stop at 9:50, so I don't think I'll have time for another question. What I'll say is, thank you so much for giving me the space tonight. I'm glad Yehuda, suggested maybe I share my experiences, and you guys it's amazing. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't think folks realize how important it is to all of us that the MriyaReport exists and that all the co-hosts and volunteers are there, because while a lot of mainstream coverage is disappearing, then at the same point, people like you and Macher and all the co-hosts tonight, the speakers, are allowing the world to know that this battle is still going on. And those of us on the ground couldn't be more grateful to the altruistic and selfless volunteers of MriyaReport. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming and talking to us, Sarah. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Oh, that was very nice. Welcome back, Bernardo. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous about the scheduled interview with Diana, and now we had Sarah here, and I wasn't nervous at all. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't schedule interviews. We just let come the people up randomly. Maybe that's a better idea. But Marcus, you did a really great job. It was a really nice conversation. Thank you very much.
Well, I remember Sarah from way back. So yeah, I remember Sarah first coming on the space and talking to us, and was always keen to highlight what was happening on the ground and what was the main issues for the people that were there. She always spoke about, you know, the people that were helping each other and things like that. So certainly she's been involved for a long time, and she's obviously felt the need to go and pick up a gun and do it herself. And as a combat medic, I would imagine that she's going to be a very valuable asset.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what I find quite nice, because she's on the battlefield, she has really much things to do. And someone told me earlier while the interview, I didn't see it in time. Sarah is there, and why don't you bring her up? And she didn't even request the microphone, as far as I saw it, and so polite and waiting and giving Diana all the time to speak as she wants. This was really nice of her and amazing, and shows what kind of yeah, people are engaged with Ukraine. These are really self-reflected and yeah, people who know how it is to yeah, help people and yeah, feel the gratitude and greatness of the Ukrainian society, and that's really nice to have such kind of voices here.
It certainly is. Ivana, you came up earlier, but you didn't pop your hand up. Did you have something you wanted to ask or say?
Oh, thank you, Marcus. Yes, I had some questions for Sarah, but I prefer to let other ask the questions. I hope she comes back again and we can ask her. My questions were about the military experience, and well, I said maybe what she chooses to say is more important, so that's why I just prefer to listen.
That's fair enough. I believe we're coming up to co-host swapping time, and it may actually be Daryl. Daryl, are you popping up to swap?
Not tonight. I'm gonna be flying out here short in a while, but if you need me to, I can give you an hour or two.
No, that's fine. It's just I can hear my tummy rumbling from here.
Go for it.
Oh,
Go for it. I'll hang out with you another.
all right. Don't worry. I'm absolutely great with Daryl and Marcus. You know, I'm absolutely ready to pull the next 50-hour shift, but
No, you're not doing that tonight. You're not doing that
but I
tonight.
need to
No.
but I need to work tomorrow. So yeah, but it's Friday is coming. Weekend is close. So yeah, don't worry, guys. No, Marcus, please, if you are hungry, take some dinner time. It's really great you were here, and have a great dinner. And I will carry on with Daryl and Joanna
Yeah.
and everyone who will came up.
Yeah, go for it, Marcus.
Thank you, my lovelies. I'm going to go before I waste away.
All right.
Good night for now.
All right, Joanna, you have your hand up. Do you have any interesting topics for us?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you who is scheduled to to be up there now.
That's a really good question. I don't know. Maybe we have to ask Joseph. I think Joseph has.
No, in fact, I'm scheduled to be there, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm really nervous. But I'll be
Oh,
up in well 5 minutes if you accept me. So
oh, absolutely, Joanna. I will just talk to our host, and yeah, I will get you up. It's no problem. Oh, it's amazing. I'm happy to co-host with you. All right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, dear fellas, and whoever is listening to us, please, if you have a question, if you have a comment, request the microphone, and yeah, we will bring you up. All right. In the meantime, if you missed any interviews in the last days, please go to MriyaReport.org. There will be a Spotify button. You click it, you go up to the website, and there are many recorded interviews. We had so many interesting interviews. I don't know where to start. We had an other style defender this week here, Sergey Skripal, I think was his name. Then we will have today Chuck Farrer here. We will have today Ivana Stratner here with I will look in the nest. Who is it there? We will have Ivana Stratner here with Dr. Eingarner. Yeah, Dr. Eingarner, Russian media watcher, historian, and translator of Russian culture and war propaganda. Will be a really interesting interview at 0 Prague time, and for our American friends, 3 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. Eastern time. Next interview we will have is our dear friend Major General Mick Ryan. Yeah, he will be here in let me look. In 3 hours. In 3 hours, we have a nice conversation with him. He's a retired Major General from Australian Army, strategist and leader and author. So yeah, will be really interesting interview. And yeah, please, if you want to listen to it or you have friends who might be interested, share the space and yeah, help us out a little bit, because it's always nice if we have more people here, more questions, more experts, and more voices and input. Deborah, you have your hand up. Please.
Yeah, just to remind folks, there will be Chuck Farrer's segment on tonight. He will be he will be having his special. It was supposed to start on Tuesday, but we had Kyle here, and it kind of ran over. So this will really be the first official night for it to start, as far as with him doing his own show. So hope everybody tunes in for that, and that's should be pretty fun because Chuck's really kind of relaxed, but he will be pulling out his bullet points that he thinks are important for the next few days, weeks, or whatever. So everybody, please check out that tonight. So, Bayanade. Hello, Bayanade.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here. I'm just trying to bring Joanna up, but somehow, yeah. All right. Deborah, you have
Yeah.
any interesting topics and any interesting questions you might have missed today, or something you want to discuss?
Well, what have we found out with any of the packages? Anything new turned up?
So sorry, I just had some background noise.
Yeah, it may be me because I'm traveling here. I was just wondering, anything else come out as far as packages today?
You mean like 8 packages for Ukraine?
Well, of course.
All right. I think packages. The postman wasn't here, and I didn't get any mail delivery. What packages is Sarah talking about? I'm just joking. Yeah, there have been packages, but I think was it Finland which sent a new package? Or was it Sweden? One of the two. One declared wanted to send some shiny new equipment. The other one said we will donate really much money in military equipment, but we will not tell you what we donate. And yeah, sadly, I'm not absolutely into tracking what kind of weapons and what kind of deliveries Ukraine gets. But well, yeah, this topic.
Maybe I
So
can help.
yeah, absolutely, Joanna. Just at this topic, would be really fine and really cool of you if you would hashtag free the leopards, because this is equipment I know. This is really great equipment, and this will help Ukraine win the war. So please tweet out at Olaf Scholz, at Bundeskanzler, and hashtag free the leopards, and support our campaign to free the leopards. Joanna, please.
Yes, so as you know, there was the Ramstein 7 meeting yesterday, and we were all optimistic that new, very interesting packages will be announced for Ukraine, especially after what happened on Tuesday. But as the conclusion of the meeting, we had practically nothing new. What was announced were the packages already announced prior to this. So basically, Sweden, 287 million, including some air defense system, which is not disclosed. From Spain, Hawk launchers and missiles, which is very good because Ukraine is getting short on missiles. From Canada, 500 million package, including a lot of winter gear, which is good because Canada is among the best for the winter gear. From Germany, artillery and MLRS ammunition. Again, great thing. From Greece, 155 millimeters ammunition, which is really on shortage in Ukraine. And from Poland, artillery ammunition and short-range air defense. So this is the conclusion after the Ramstein. And I can tell you something other that is kind of interesting. I've just seen an article on CNN saying that, the United States ran out of stocks of some of the weapons and ammunitions they wanted to supply to Ukraine. And in particular, this 155 millimeter artillery and Stinger man-portable anti-aircraft missiles. So the fact that other countries are coming in and offering this particular type of munition is, well, I think very good. I'm not a military expert. Maybe someone wants to comment on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, that's really amazing. What did you say? Which country announced the anti-air air system, the air defense system?
Sweden.
Sweden.
Sweden and Poland short-range air defense system.
All right, short-range air defense system. Now we need some Swedish or some Scandinavian fella who knows about the Swedish systems. Which may could it be? And I'm getting a new fella up, and I see we have a host connection warning. If we break down in a few seconds or minutes, please do not worry. We will be up in a few minutes. Just rejoin our space and retreat the space, and then we will be back. Absolutely. Sometimes we crash, sometimes we will not crash. Yeah, it's all in the hands of Elon Musk now, literally. I heard he's looking for a new CEO, for a new acting CEO, basically a fall guy. We will see how this works out, but I guess he just bought us some time. All right. Mic check. Can you hear me, Joanna?
Yeah, you're 100%.
Yes.
Great. We still did not crash. This is amazing. So, all right. RE came up. RE, you have a comment to this? And he dropped. All right. Maybe we need to try it again. Then we go to our favorite company and fella. It's Ukrazaliznytsia fella. Do you have a comment? Or maybe a question? Ukrazaliznytsia? Can you hear me? Oh no, he dropped also. Ah, the space.
A
Maybe
little
it's
complicated.
yeah. I guess